TCT presents Public Report, a look at the issues and events of importance to our viewing area. Now, here's your host.
Hello, welcome to TCT Public Report. I am your host, Richard McCorkle, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, and fortunate for me, my wife, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, and I'm excited.
You are excited. We have a great show for you today. We are with Felicia Jamison. She is the author of Rain on Your Face, and we cannot wait to get into this. It's going to be a varied amount of subjects, and we just can't wait. Felicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So where do we begin, Crystal? Where do you want to start with this?
Let's talk about just Rain on Your Face, your book.
Rain on Your Face is a book about healing after loss, after disappointment. After I went through a very hurtful divorce, I made up in my mind that I would heal. I would not be a statistics of somebody who was just a failure, because I know that a failed relationship does not mean that you're a failure.
Very good.
So I wrote the book not during the hurt, but after the healing came, and wanted it to be something that people could read to pick themselves back up and say, I can live again, rain on my face, refreshed, restored, renewed.
So how did you, I mean, you just were going through something and you were able to be that cognizant of what was going on.
Well, I'm also a registered nurse.
Okay.
I'm a nursing consultant, so I have that healing side of me.
Okay.
And I just knew that God heals.
Yes.
That I would be healed. I went through those disappointments. I went through the healing, the tears, the why, why couldn't things be different? But then I became a certified healing coach.
Okay.
I did counseling with a counselor, but that went so well that, I too gained skills to be able to help other people, because I know a lot of women and even some men that can go through that one failed relationship and never get back up again. And you have to remember that just because you have that failure, your purpose doesn't change.
Right.
You still have a purpose in God. You still have, your gifts and your talents that you should give to the world. Yes. So when I saw how I healed, I wanted other people to heal exactly the same way I healed.
Wow.
Wow. And so, when a person is in a relationship and it fails and it just smashes them and it's horrific, how do they get back up again?
I think the first step is forgiveness. It's so easy. It sounds like, really? But when when the scripture talks about that seed of bitterness, that root of bitterness, don't let it take up to be a root in you. Forgive, move on, pray for them, wish them well, and move on with your life.
Right.
I mean, it really is that. Don't focus on what they're doing or looking at their social media, what have you, but you need to heal. And in the book I talk about, if you had broken your leg, you get it cast, you elevate it, and you take care of that leg. And so when you have been fractured, when you have been broken in your spirit, you have to take care of you. It's not a time to go out. People say, oh, get back out there. No. It's not a time to start dating and those kind of things, but it's a time to have some inner reflection.
Yes.
What things could I have done different?
Right.
If there was something that you could have done different, heal from that, get new perspective, get God's perspective about your life, and just really take time to heal. Start to learn the things that, when you're in, and the relationship ended because of verbal abuse. And when that happens, you can kind of lose yourself, and I really wanted to keep that marriage. I am a Christian and I know what the scripture says, and I wanted that relationship. But when it comes to a point where it's harmful to you, I tell people you have to, save yourself and get out. And that's what I did.
Right, and so many people, like you said, they jump right back into the game.
Into the frying pan.
Exactly.
And they're and what a great analogy you said, fractured. And with a fractured leg or whatever you say, you take your time to do it, and there's going to be a certain amount of time that you ain't going to be going out and playing basketball anytime
Exactly. You're going to your follow-up appointments with the doctor, all of that. So when you've had something happen where, when the scripture says the two shall become one flesh. So when that's divided, divorce, division, you really need to heal. And if that happened where you could see that cut with your eyes, you're bleeding on one side. You would not be going out to date and put some Curlex and bandage yourself up. You go somewhere and heal. And I think that that is something that people forget, because they are afraid to be alone. They are afraid to work on themselves. And they listen to those little negative voices saying, you're going to be alone, look at you, you know, and you can't focus on that. You've got to be your best you and be your own best friend, and that's what I did.
Yes.
Wow.
And facing your own pain. I know for me,
Exactly.
before I got married to this beautiful woman, I was widowed, and I think one of the biggest fears I had was actually being alone with myself and facing maybe the uncomfortableness.
Exactly.
And once I got over that, I was able to actually, forgive the term, but fall back in love with myself first.
Exactly. And that's a big thing, that fear of being alone.
Yeah.
It is major, it is real.
Serious, yes.
The you know, society says, you know,
You're not supposed to be alone.
You're not supposed to be alone. You need to be with somebody. You need to have somebody with dinner. And you know, one of the greatest moments in my life was when I could just get dressed to the nines and go out and eat by myself.
By yourself. Yes.
And I would say, table for one, for the one and only. You know, and they would just look at me like, wow, you know, and that really felt good for me, you know, to go out and not care about how I looked to other people because I was by myself, you know. And I'm not going to, you know, I said, I'm not going to fear being by myself. Go to a movie, drive to the beach alone. And one of my best, I call it Seaside Tabernacle, when you drive to the beach by yourself.
Yes.
And you just Seaside Tabernacle. And you're just there with your Bible, and you know, you got your cool shades on, and just being refreshed and not being afraid of being alone like that. You don't have to fear that. It's some of the most beautiful moments, because even when you get that relationship again and you get that new union, you still have to know how to be alone and refresh yourself, and then go back to that spouse or partner after there's a disagreement, or when you're both looking at what's our next move, what should we do? You go get your answer, he gets his answer, and you come together.
Yes.
Right. Now, during this time when you were getting yourself together, and were there some things you learned about yourself that you never knew you had inside you?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was my ability to forgive, that the God in me is strong, that I'm very strong and I'm very resilient. And when I saw how resilient I was like, wow, I like that. You know, I didn't wallow in my sorrows, and I saw that I was very resilient. So when God started telling me to write the book, I was a little like, what's this about? Because it was something I had never done. And I share with people how I would write a little bit and then I would back off. And I heard God speak to me and say, that's my book. I want to finish the book.
Wow.
Because I have plans for that book. And I was like, whoa. And so I quickly finished that book.
Yes.
And that was a surprise to see that that was in me, that those written words were inside to come out.
Right. And people, I'm sorry, but people don't realize how important their own personal stories are for other people. We always think, oh, nobody wants to know
Nobody wants
that
to hear it,
detail.
yes, but somebody wants to hear your story or needs it, you know. Wow.
And I think the thing that I like about the book is no details about my former spouse.
Okay.
It's neat little things that I learned about healing. Like one I do section is called That's Not My Luggage. And it's dealing with people not putting labels on you. When you're at the airport, you pick up your luggage.
Right.
If that's not my luggage, I don't pick that up. And just learning who you are, you know. I do one about chocolate cake, and it's talking about how we like to start eating things that are great and wonderful, but we have to be careful what we take and what we bring in, and then we go, I didn't eat that, and you know, you try to wipe the crumbs away like I didn't do that, but the cake is inside of you, you ate it.
Yes,
you know, and so now you
yes.
got to deal with what you ate, you
Yes,
know,
yes.
and so it's a little catchy things like that to grab your attention, but it has a little story behind each statement.
Absolutely. Now talk about the title. How did the title come about? It's a pretty
Oh,
unique
wow.
title.
I was actually near the courthouse trying to get equitable distribution, and it did not go well.
Okay.
Some things just don't go the way you see it in your brain. Right. And I was with my lawyer, and he said, look at you, kiddo. I know this didn't go the way you wanted it to go today, but you got rain on your face. And I looked up, and little raindrops started hitting my face. And I was like, yeah, I am. I've got rain on my face. I'm alive. I'm okay.
Yes.
Right.
And that was the perspective that I took, is that you may be disappointed. You may have gone through a divorce, but hey, you're alive. You're breathing.
Yeah.
You're being refreshed by God. You can live again. You're okay. A divorce does not mean the end of your life.
Right.
It's not the end.
And was that the paradigm shift?
And yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because it was like, I was like, wait a minute, you know, so there was this little shift, and I even write in the book about when everything was finally over. I was actually in a spa in Jamaica,
Okay.
and I was under these hydrojets, and I was in this room by myself. They had done a massage, and they released these jets on me, so I just had water going through my hair, all over me. And so then the rain on your face thing, and the water, and the cleansing, and the renewal. And when I finished that treatment, I checked my phone, and my attorney had let me know it's official, everything is done. So when everything was being filed and that, you know, divorce was official, I was under that water.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Amazing, incredible story.
The way God speaks to you, and
Exactly.
and
Yes.
symbols and so forth.
Exactly.
And reoccurring symbols, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like rain, water, refresh. Okay, rain on your face. That's it. And on the cover, the woman is dressed up, and I like the silhouette of that woman. You don't know who she is, but she's walking in the rain, and she's going on with life.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
And people say, I'm sorry, but I'm just running all over you. But divorce is such an ugly word. We hear all the times. And
The D word.
The D
The
word.
D word, yeah.
And guilt about doing it. But not everybody should remain married just because it's not going to be pretty.
If it's not healthy, if someone is harming you with their words, even that's abusive. If it's a and this didn't happen to me, but if it's a person who never comes home at night, who's not taking care of their financial responsibilities as a man of God and the leader of that home, and it's not okay when you don't know what that person is doing, and they're out having relations with someone else, and then bringing that home to you. You know, you have to find a safe place for yourself to be healed. And yeah, the D word, everybody's like, oh God, they feel like they've got something stamped up on their forehead, and it's like, it happens. You know, you're not the first person, you're not going to be the last. Get over yourself and move on.
Yes.
But when I sign stuff, I never use the D word, like, you know, your status. I'm single.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm single. I'm whole.
You're not going to carry that luggage.
Yeah, I'm not carrying that. I'm not carrying that little banner.
Right.
Yes.
I'm single. I've moved on with life.
And sometimes when a person divorces on paper, they still are not divorced. They didn't make that
Inside.
divorce in spirit. And I remember talking with a young lady a while back, and I wouldn't say young lady because I'm about 48 years old.
You're young.
But she's 40, that's why I call her, because she's younger
Yes.
than I am. But anyway, she went through a divorce and had her ex-husband's clothes in the home.
Oh my gosh.
And so she just don't want to throw them out or just take them
I wish I
out.
could see
or
her
sell 'em or
clean
just
that joint.
But he refuses to come and pick them up. And he's with in another relationship, but he refuses to pick them up and want to
See,
keep them there.
that's the silliness of what people will do.
Yeah.
That person, many times, before the ink is dry, they have moved on.
Yes.
And you are sitting there holding on to some cotton clothes and shirts, and they're not even thinking about you.
Yeah.
You're sitting there crying, they're out having a blast, and you're crying.
And
Stop.
she's beautiful. She's
Yeah,
going to school to be an
and
RN.
She needs to
She's beautiful.
let all of that go. And for me, when I left, I didn't take anything, any picture, wedding dress, I didn't bring anything, because I knew, based on what had happened, I was done. God gave me that release to move on.
Yes.
I said that final prayer for him, I call it a good God bless you.
Yes.
And you're done.
Yes.
And you need to move on with life and see the things that God has for you, because the other thing was for me to start a nonprofit, working with kids in Jamaica. That has been the joy of my life.
Wow. And what is that?
That's American Life Caribbean Mission.
Okay.
And so I work with kids in Jamaica.
Wow.
And right now we have 2 med students that we're working with. And being that I'm a nurse and I work with surgeons every day, one of our students, he wants to be a surgeon. So how blessed am I to be able to get donations to seed into his life? And who knew that that's what I would be doing? Right. And I can remember when I was filling out my 501c3 papers, I was 2 pages away from finishing, and the IRS got in touch with me and was like, finish, send that in, or either pay us taxes on the money you collected last year. Well, that was all gone in education, shoes, books, school supplies, and I was 2 pages away, finished that, got my 501c3 from the IRS, and I use that story to tell people sometimes you are 1 to 2 pages away from your blessing, from your miracle, from your next step, and you better not give up.
Wow.
Amen.
And I'm so glad that I didn't, and I'm so glad that I took the time to heal, to see the things that God wanted from me. I wear many hats and enjoy it, and it is where my energy goes, it is where my thoughts go.
Wow.
And that's one thing that people mess up when they do what you said, the young lady hanging on to this man's clothes. Oh my gosh. I mean, when she could be using that energy to help people, or to go help people with a vision that they have if she doesn't have one of her own.
Yes.
You know, so.
A lot of times there's some things attached to those clothes. If you just get those clothes out.
And then there's memories of what
you smell, even the
smell, or where we were when he wore this, and
all
it's
those
like
things.
it's over, you know, and that's the unfortunate thing, is that, you know, you do have to let those things go. You can have a pleasant memory of some of the good times you had, and, you know, you don't hate that person, especially for people, like I didn't have kids with my former spouse, but some people, you've had kids, and so you don't hate that person. You know, you wish them well, have a pleasant memory of them, but you can't be calling them or hanging on to things or trying to exchange money, or even if it was a man coming back to a woman needing, you are not an ATM, you are not his answer. You know, God is his answer.
Right.
And he's not your answer. God is your answer and your source and your provider. And so, you know, after my transition, I was able to build another home and handle all of my finances, my retirement accounts.
Very good.
Just take care of Felicia.
Yes.
You know?
Do you think if you wouldn't have gone through the transition, do you think you'd be where you are now?
I don't even want to think about where I would be if I stayed stuck. And that's what I call it, staying stuck. You're stuck through some thoughts. And, you know, we've heard the little jingle from the book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. You know, there's something in that person's brain. And I always say this, it's usually one thought. It's one lie. It's one belief that they're holding on to that keeps them stuck.
That's a stronghold. Yes, pretty much.
And once you let that go, your healing will soar.
Wow.
But you got to be willing to identify it. And that is why it's so important for that alone time. Because whatever those little things are, they're going to show themselves through your thoughts, through your feelings. You can identify them and you can speak truth. And you say, no, that's a lie. That's not the truth. And then you take your own mouth and you speak blessings and the truth over yourself to come out of that.
Right.
Wow.
Now, you're a coach.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So with coaching, it's pretty much, I was kind of going into it just now. I have through my website where you can get in touch with me and we can do online coaching. So it doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
You know, you pay for the services and I call you, we begin to talk, then I end up giving you homework of things that you should do to heal and be better and help you get unstuck.
So what type of coaching is it then?
So it would be emotional, for your emotions, for healing, for mental things, and usually the key things that would be like depression,
Right.
You know, where people have gotten stuck and that depression holds them.
Yes.
I called it in a holding phase instead of moving on with their life.
Right. And with depression, because obviously that is a direct reaction to maybe that's something going on. Now, sometimes it goes a little beyond that. Maybe it is clinical depression. Sometimes
Right.
you have to be medicated for that. Can
Right.
you give me your little philosophy about that?
So some things are just basic depression where, you know, those are thoughts and things that you can talk. When it goes deeper into a clinical depression, you may need meds.
Yeah.
So then that's when you're going to get with your physician for that, because I don't do that. But I do like to let people know, don't feel embarrassed about needing to be on medications. And I think with mental health, that's one thing, like a stigma.
Yeah.
Like people say, well, I'm not crazy. No, we know you're not crazy.
Right.
But maybe you do need, I say, a little tablet, a little something to help, and that's okay.
Yes, yes,
It's
absolutely.
okay. You need something for anxiety. You need something to help you rest, because when we don't rest properly,
Yes.
then that's when you get in this cycle of really feeling bad and drained. So if you need meds, you go through that with your doctor.
Yes.
I know she's still laughing because I said, you might need
A little tablet, or either half a tablet.
half a tablet. So just knock the edge off a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Take some of
Yes.
that anxiety out so that you can think clearly.
Right.
Yes.
And then, but I always say to people, but then there comes that awakening, that moment where the medicine is just not going to be everything. You have to deal with what's making you
yes.
depressed.
And what I love that you said, deal with it. I know I'd suffered from anxiety a while back, and it would just, and it came out of nowhere, and it was so debilitating. I mean,
Exactly.
it affected my career and everything. And when I went to my family doctor for that, he said that I'm just going to put you on something just so that you can get to a point. It wasn't like anything that would, tranquilize me.
Exactly.
It was something that would just maybe stop the frenetic of all the thoughts.
The thoughts.
Yes.
It's like a rush of thoughts.
Yes.
You get bombarded. It's like an overload, and it's like all these thoughts are coming, and you can barely sort through one thought before
Right.
the next one comes. And
Right.
that's a trick of the enemy.
Very true.
Yes, it is.
So what the medication did help me do, and he was very
calm.
good. Yeah, I was able then to calm, and then I was able to actually then deal with it. It wasn't escaping it or being numb to it. I was
Exactly.
actually able to deal with it. And it wasn't a while till I was able to, he weaned me off, and I'm done.
Ta-da.
Yeah, and mission accomplished, because I was able to get over that hurdle. I understood myself better. And it was amazing, like you said, a journey. It's this amazing journey that we go on
Exactly.
to.
Exactly. And so that's the thing that I don't want people to fear is, we'll go to the doctor if our heart is hurting. And I recently did a promo picture where I'm holding a stethoscope and I'm putting it out to people, because we let people listen to our natural heart, but you sometimes need to let somebody listen to that spiritual heart. You know, what's going on inside of me, and just talk it out, talk about it. You know how it's like when something is in the dark, it always looks real big and scary. But when you put it out in the light and talk to another brother or sister or medical professional, how much better do you feel? You feel better, because then you go, wait a minute, that's not as bad as I thought. That's not as big as it looked on the inside of me. So.
And with your book, how have you seen people? Because I read it, and it was fascinating. It was actually very empowering to myself. Have you seen people that it's helped? Has people shared with you?
Of course, yes.
Give me a little bit about that.
Oh, thanks for that question. So what people will come back and say, they'll say, one thing is they'll say, wow, you really wanted to be healed, didn't you? I saw that you were so they get the understanding you have to want healing. You have to want it like you want your next breath. People will say things like, I didn't know how weak I was until I read that, and I saw your strength, and I saw the things you were doing, and I realized I'm really weak here, and I want to be like her. I want to travel. I want to go.
Yeah.
So they come back and say that. There's places where you can journal and write down your fears and things like that in the book, and they like that because they can then begin to start dealing with that issue that's in their life.
Right.
And I've even had people that will have the book, and then somebody in another country will end up with the book, and they're sending back reports of people who say that they finally left that abusive relationship after they read the book. And I'm just like, so it's people, some people, I don't even know who they are,
Yes.
but it got in their hands, and they read it, and they said, it gave me the courage to say, I love myself and I can leave too.
Yes, and be empowered to do it, not just to get out of a situation, but like your coaching, to be renewed.
To be renewed.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so when should a person reach out? Okay, we all go through trials and tribulations. When is the right moment to say, okay, I need to reach out to somebody?
I think when you see yourself like it's a cyclic thing, you're just going in a circle. You're in the same place this year, the same place 6 months later. It's like, wait, when you realize I'm not accomplishing anything, or you realize I'm sleeping a lot. On the weekends, I just take a blanket, curl up, I'm not doing, oh, no. You should be out doing some things. So when you see these behaviors in yourself, when you see that you're really forgetful about things and you're not focusing on yourself, when you see that you're not taking as good care of yourself physically, you're not going out and getting your nails done, you're not getting your hair done, you're just in a rut. And then you need to say, what has me here? I know what has me here, and then that person has to start reaching out for help and not be embarrassed to reach out.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I think I need to get my nails done.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
But I guess.
And you see how we're laughing?
Yes.
If you're not laughing, laughter is medicine.
Yes.
So when you look at your life and you go, when was the last time I laughed? You might need some help.
Yes.
Wow, that's good.
You know,
I love that.
Not laughing, you have no humor anymore.
Yes.
Right. And we shouldn't be, like you said, don't be ashamed. And
No.
I guess this can be in concert with a whole bunch of different things. It could be for some major counseling, coaching, even if you need some psychiatric or psychological help. It could all be in concert, and that's what's so refreshing.
Right. And people may be at different degrees and levels of what's going on with them, but you know where you are, and I think you should reach out. You know, any of those 3 levels you just mentioned, reach out and get the help that you need. And it's the best thing that you'll ever do for yourself.
Awesome.
Because there's a gift inside of each individual that they need to give to the world, and they can't give it when they're stuck like that.
No doubt.
Wow.
Well, Felicia, we thank you for your gift. We thank you for sharing it with us
Thank
and
you
giving
for
us our
having me.
own empowerment. And you're definitely an inspiration to many. So thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for TCT Public Report. We'll see you next time.
This has been Public Report. Public Report discusses the issues of interest and importance to our viewing area. Please remember that the views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of TCT or the station.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall live and not perish. What an opportunity we have to give back to God in worship. Take this time to support TCT for the fabulous things that it's doing in the community, with the words of encouragement, with the words of healing and deliverance. You have now been given the opportunity to sow into God's kingdom. God bless you, and we hope to hear from you soon.